Oh, my Tesla Autopilot update is available. Let's see, would I like to download now? Remind me in an hour, or try tonight? Howdy everybody, I'm David Geisler. This is the Technophiles Newscast, and it looks like Tesla has an Autopilot coming out tomorrow. That's right, the self-driving Autopilot feature that everybody gets so excited about is getting some upgrades. And the word on the street, and by street I mean Elon Musk's Twitter page, is that it's happening tomorrow. So this is going to be an over-the-air update. It's a firmware update for all models that came out after 2014, because those models have radar installed. And this is actually pretty important because how the vehicle will use the radar has been revamped. Now, the topic of self-driving cars is something that has been coming up a lot lately on our podcast, the Technophiles podcast. Clicker right there if you want to go check that out. But a lot of the times we find that these cars that are self-driving are using something called LiDAR. Now, LiDAR is a little bit like radar, but it uses lasers. LiDAR. Actually, it's a little bit more like... The Google self-driving car uses LiDAR, Uber's new car uses LiDAR, Ford's new vehicle uses LiDAR, and this usually means that there's a bunch of equipment strapped to the top of a vehicle with lasers that are spinning all over the place, and this allows the vehicle to get a three-dimensional lay of the land. To this point, Tesla's Autopilot has mostly used a camera system. That means there's cameras installed all over the vehicle, and it's using software to interpret 3D space from those images. Now, of course, as I said, all models that came out after 2014 also had radar installed, and they would use that to complement the data that was coming in from the cameras. So Tesla's Autopilot is a slightly different approach than some other companies are taking right now. I mean, there's more than one way to not drive a self-driving car, but Musk said that this 8.0 update is going to make Tesla vehicles some of the safest on the road. And this is why radar actually does come with some interesting benefits if you use the data correctly. Now, radar, at least in the context of self-driving cars, is definitely an interesting beast. You can get some really wacky distortion from radar signals. Anything that's flat and really smooth is essentially invisible to radar. It just kind of, the radar pings out and just goes boom, and just bounces in another direction and never comes back to the receiver, which is like why things like the stealth bomber worked so well back in the day, and that's how you get radar invisible planes and things like that. So a vehicle driving on a road, if they're going to pass a sign or something like that, the radar almost doesn't see an overhead sign. It's funny that I make a laser noise for the radar. What would be the radar noise? I'm not sure, but it would probably sound a lot like that. Now it's turning into a lightsaber. I don't know what to do. I gotta practice my sound effects a little. Okay, so radar, which is essentially sound waves, likes to bounce off of things, but sometimes that bouncing not only can disappear, but it can get distorted. Musk once used the idea of a soda can laying on the street as an example, and if the radar hits the concave, bottom of a soda can, it can bounce around in there and amplify. So that signal that gets all distorted and bounces back, when the car sees that signal again, it could think that that soda can is the size of an elephant. Now, because of this, it would seem that Tesla relied more on its visual systems than the radar. The radar was kind of a backup. So when the radar gets distorted like that, it can create what's called a false positive. And so you can imagine this soda can rolling into the street, and the vehicle would think there was something like an elephant crossing the road, and it would slam on the brakes. With this 8.0 update, Tesla has said that they have figured out ways to identify false positives with the data they're getting from other sensors and override them. But at the same time, they have to be very, very careful because, like I said, things that are really, really flat could create a positive negative. I'm just making that up, but that might be what it is. It's no secret at this point that a few weeks ago, tragically, a Tesla S crashed into the side of a truck. And the idea is that that vehicle might have thought that the truck was something like an overhead sign and ignored a true negative. Is that what it is? I don't know, I'm kind of just making that up right now, but I'm going to call it a true negative. I'm not sure if that works, but I think we'll go with it for this. It's very sad, but the idea is that the autopilot system might have interpreted this truck as something like an overhead sign and and the vehicle did not stop. It is truly sad. So Musk has actually officially said that he feels that this 8.0 update would absolutely not allow something like that to happen again. One of the ways that they are trying to identify these false positives or these invisible objects is actually by using the radar to see through things. Radar, of course, it likes to bounce off things, like I said earlier. Well, they can actually take the radar and bounce it off the bottom of the road or bounce it off things to the side to actually see things that are in front of a vehicle in front of the vehicle. So, for example, if you're in a Model S and there's a vehicle right in front of you, they can actually take the radar and bounce it around and see what's in front of that car. Perhaps it's another car, or perhaps it would be an unidentified flying object, which I'm not joking. Musk actually said the car could now detect because they changed some of the algorithms. Instead of looking for specific objects, the car is looking for any object. As long as it's not soft and fluffy or a cloud of fog or something like that, the car's going to see it, according to Musk. Yeah, it's interesting how the update uses sound waves to see through things and even past things, almost as if it had supernatural vision. No, it's true. I don't think a lot of people know this, but the 8.0 update had a really troubled childhood, Its father was a fighter, and it lost its vision in a toxic chemical situation. Yeah, now it just roams through the city at night, fighting crime. What? That could be one of the 200 things not worthy of a bullet point in the additional release notes. We're not joking. We just showed you the actual press release. That's really in there. There's a couple other things that are listed in those additional notes that are kind of interesting. For example, now there's a feature where the auto steer won't engage if a user has ignored warnings after a couple times. For example, if the car is driving along and it says, "Hey, I'm not confident in my driving skills right now, please grab the wheel." If the user overrides that a couple times, it just says, "That's it, no more autopilot for you until I park." Another one that doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's kind of interesting, is they've added an algorithm that allows the vehicle to offset itself in a lane if it's overtaking a slower vehicle that's also offset in its lane. No more of those scary close calls, Easy now, easy. Take it nice and wide here on this lane change, ma'am. And another one is that the auto braking will actually complement a user's braking and amplify it if it's necessary during an emergency. Kind of cool. There's a whole bunch of them. We'll put a link to the press release down in the notes below. And there it is. We'll see if this free update actually does come out tomorrow, September 21st, 2016. The 8.0 update. I'm sure every single Tesla Model S owner right now is very excited. And maybe the rest of us are too. Because of course this is a step further into self-driving cars. Ford is already saying that they want to have a completely autonomous car by 2021, I think. Google's obviously there. Uber's already sending cars out in Pennsylvania. They're already out on the streets. It's a complicated topic. What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Why don't you tweet me at RaptorPaint or at TechnopilesPod or leave a comment down below. Otherwise, you can check us out on our website, technophilespodcast.com, to get information about the rest of our show and the podcast. And I'm going to get out of here. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, be sure to click the old like button down below. We've got some other links right here. We got our Pokemon Go episode that we did, a special report, which was a lot of fun. We actually shot it in the city of Milwaukee when we were talking about playing Pokemon Go in Milwaukee. You can also check out our Technophiles podcast, our kind of big brother show, big sister show that is a full-length podcast that's on iTunes and Stitcher and stuff like that. But you can also watch and listen to it here on YouTube by clicking here. Subscribe's right down here. I'll just hang out and wait for a little while. Dance to the music, right? Chip tunes. I love it. All right, we'll see you guys on Thursday.